Hi guys, so I'm finally making the video for Antium's side of Dark Moon lore. I wanted to do this ages ago, but because I had to revise for A-levels, I never got the time to do so. But now A-levels are over and I'm finally free, so I made the presentation. This isn't for K-pop club or anything because no one at my school knows Antium. It's really sad. I'm just doing this because I love Dark Moon and I'm also a Lune. Very obvious from my channel name. So let's get started. Just to apologize, it's really hot at where I'm staying right now, so I have a fan going on. I hope it's not too noisy and it doesn't it doesn't prevent me from being heard not clearly. So an overview of how this video is going to work is that, like of the ENHYPEN video that I made, I'm going to say a part of the storyline and then I will link it with a part of an MV and explain it if I need to. If you have any questions or if you want me to clarify something, ask me in the comments and I will try to reply to them. But firstly, I'm going to introduce the lore as I did before and add some things that I wish I said for the ENHYPEN video, but I didn't. So Dark Moon is a fictional hive universe of the fantasy genre involving vampires, werewolves and magic. And something that I didn't say previously was that Antium and ENHYPEN's storylines are connected, where ENHYPEN's characters are vampires whilst Antium's characters are werewolves. There's 2 installments of Dark Moon that are about Antium specifically, its Grey City and Witch of Yarasa. I will go into more detail about this later in the video. First of all, let me just tell you about who Antium are, because some people might have just come on this randomly and not know. So they're a 9-membered boy group from YX Labels, formerly known as Hive Labels Japan, so obviously they're from Hive. 4 of the members were eliminated island contestants. They debuted in December 2022 and they have a werewolf concept, if that wasn't already obvious. So now moving on to the characters. Like with ENHYPEN, every member of Antium has a corresponding character in Dark Moon. And they're here. I'm not going to read through all of this because you can just pause it and look at it yourself. But something that I wanted to say is that the way I've done it is I put the webtoon the Dark Moon characters followed by the corresponding real life member, and if they're something about how they're related to others in that sense, and also what type of werewolf they are. So speaking of types of werewolves, in the Dark Moon universe there's 2 types of werewolves called a loup-garou and a lycanthrope. Loup-garous are the ones that every time there's a full moon, they will just automatically turn into a wolf, whereas lycanthropes can turn into it whenever they want without the control of the full moon. Kan is the only character who is a lycanthrope, whilst others are all loup-garous. Something that I want to point out is that although Kan is the leader in the wolf pack of Dark Moon, Kay is not actually in real life is not the leader of Antium. That was something that I thought of. That was a misconception that I had for ages. In real life, the leader of Antium is EJ. Okay, just so you know. So now, and another thing that I would like to add is some detail about the vampires in the storyline. So in this Dark Moon universe, except for ENHYPEN's characters, all vampires are quote-unquote bad. There might be more, there could be good vampires in the future, but we haven't gotten to that in the lore first. There's 2 types of vampires. They're low grade and high grade. Low grade are mindless and they just attack people to drink blood. High-grade vampires are conscious, they're in their right minds, but they have malicious intention of gaining power by harming others. They usually have special abilities such as mind controlling. This information will be relevant later on. So now we move on to the storyline of the two installments. So firstly, we have Grey City, which is set in the 2000s. Although it appears as if the storyline is shorter in terms of time, because ENHYPEN was from like 1,000 years ago to like now, whereas like Antium's always only like 10-20 years in span. I feel like the storyline is more complex, so there is going to be quite a lot of screenshots on each part. So to begin with, Can is bullied at school because he was seen to be different from others. One reason for this is that his adoptive mother found him lying in the snow when he was a child, but he has no memories of the past. Therefore, people made rumors about him and saw him as a monster. And this is shown in the Under the Skin MV. This is meant to, like, these words are meant to show like what they label him as. It's pretty sad. And something that I want to point out is that I basically put like a table showing the Dark Moon character and the corresponding real life member because they don't always because unlike the ENHYPEN characters, the first letters don't always correspond to the actual members. So yeah. Okay, so now back to the storyline. But then Najak, Enzi, and Sahel, who are looked after by a man called Giri, move into the village, and Najak, Enzi, and Sahel join Kan's school. They're werewolves, but they keep their identity secret. They notice how Kan is being mistreated, and they befriend him and stand up for him against the bullies, and that's shown in another part of the Under the Skin MV. Later, Luca and Louis also join the school. However, vampires begin to invade the village because they sense werewolves being here. I didn't mention this in ENHYPEN's War, but bad vampires captured and experimented on werewolves so that they could try to find a way to become more powerful. This is shown in the Warcry MV. There's this cloaked person in the Grey City storyline. The antagonistic vampires are this organization called the Red Hood Sisters, and they have like mind controlling abilities. So these vampire attacks cause Kan to have a flashback to the past that he had forgotten. He remembers that not only was he a werewolf, but he was a lycanthrope and was supposed to lead other werewolves. And is shown in another part of the Warcry MV. This part shows him receiving a necklace called the Silver Fang, and it's supposed to symbolize the leadership that he was supposed to take on. So the members fight the vampires, and the Red Hood Sisters get defeated. However, Giri, the man that I mentioned earlier, is seriously injured and he dies as a result. Before he died, he told Kan to form a pack and lead the other members. This is shown in Under the Skin, it's MV. So that's Giri, and that one is K/Kan. Something that I want to mention is that at this point, Mahan, Camille, and Ruslan were being mind controlled by the Red Hood's sisters, and they were used as minions. This is from like the webtoon, and like the way their eyes are like that, it's supposed to show that they're being mind controlled. But then they return to their own minds when the vampires were defeated, and Can also asked them to join the pack. So now, although the vampires were gone for now, and they were all together, it was hard for them to get along due to coping with Giri's death and their different past, and they argue and fought frequently, and it's shown in Samidare's MV. But when spring came and there was rain with cherry blossom petals, they realized that they have to overcome their differences, try to understand each other more, and try to rebuild their friendship. And that's also shown another part of the Samidare MV. At one point, the members go on a trip to a different town. And that's shown in the Aorashi MV. It's about them. Lore-wise, there's not much going on in the MV. It's just about them bonding and building their friendship. So after that, the members lived in different towns and cities, but moved on every few years to prevent the towns being targets for other vampires. So at one point, they go to a place in Can's flashbacks to see, like, where he, like, when he received the Silver Fang, like, it was a sort of a settlement that other wolves lived in, to see if they could find anyone. But there weren't any, so Can feels guilty that he couldn't be the leader that he was supposed to be. However, the members comfort him. This is shown in the Yuki Akari MV. And at the end of the MV, the members are seen going to a place called Yarasa. This, like, if you see the plane ticket, it says that here. So now we move on to the next installment, which is Yarasa, and that takes place in the 2010s. Because, like, the webtoon and the web novel in English hasn't been released yet, this is just theories that I've come up with and I've put it organized it in a way for you, like, into a storyline that you can understand, but I'm not entirely sure. I know that recently on the Dark Moon channel they had the short animated videos, and I used those to guide me a bit, but there's still some things that we don't know. So there seems to be an appearance, starting the storyline in this installment. There appears to be an appearance of dangerous vampires, and that foreshadowing something bigger happening. This is symbolized in the Going Blind MV, where obviously everything is red, and in Dark Moon, red always means that there's vampires. So probably because of their past of having fought vampires and, like, the members join this military organization. I don't know what it's called, but it's just that, where they learn different fighting tactics, and it's, like, shown here. This is from the We Are On Fire MV, and this, like, is a scene of them. It's from a scene of them in the MV fighting the vampires. I think that's Joe/Camille, and that's a vampire. The members are being helped by a woman called Enid. So this is what she looks like in the MV. We never actually see her face, but yeah, it's her. And in animation, she looks like that. I think she is the witch that this installment is talking about, so she probably has powers. So eventually, after all those dangerous vampires appearing, there finally comes this giant monster which looks like a wolf that breathes fire, shown in the Way on Fire MV. And it causes a lot of damage in Yarasa, shown in the Back to Life MV. It's like everything's falling apart. I'm guessing it was caused by that monster. To defeat the monster, the members use a tactic where they put on blindfolds to enhance their abilities. This is shown in the Way on Fire MV. There's actually a part where all the members have their blindfolds on, but I just thought I couldn't pause it at a point where like it looked okay, where like the members actually looked good, so I didn't use that. And it shows, and then they go fight the monster, and that's shown in another part of the Going Blind MV. They're like running blindfolded, and I'm assuming that this black hole thing in the sky is meant to symbolize the monster. So during all this time, Enid fights alongside them, but although the monster was probably defeated, she dies to save the other members. And I think it's been shown in the Way on Fire MV. Like that's her, I think, and it shows her falling and everything's on fire, so I'm assuming that's like what's happening. So that is where we've gotten up to in the storyline. Then I know that they have a comeback, and team have a comeback on September the 8th called Mark on Me. Hopefully that gives like more insight into what the storyline is about. And the webtoon or the web novel is published in English, is published as well, so I actually know what's going on. But yeah, some of you might have noticed that there were MVs which weren't mentioned in the presentation. Like I didn't mention Firework or Deer Hunter at all, and I mentioned Back to Life in only a small amount of detail. These 3 MVs are all very lore important, but I just didn't know how to fit it into the storyline that I've had in this video without it being confusing, and I will try to make videos about those in the future. And if you want to learn more about the storyline, you can read the webtoon, or if that's too time consuming for you, watch a summary video of it. There are also YouTube channels. Like I said earlier in the presentation, Dark Moon have their official channel which has content for both groups. And like in terms of analysing, there's Bookish Theory and I'm Just B. They like, I put which group they tend to be more focused on, so you can go check these out. I'll put everything in the description, so if you want to explore that yourself, you can. So that is the end of the presentation. Thank you for watching. I hope it helped you, and please stand on team because they're really great.